I'm an expert in Krav Maga, and I can tell you that martial arts, fitness training or Krav Maga itself will make you fat. And that's a serious warning. In this video, I'll tell you why that is true and what to do instead. And let's start right now.
Are you listening? Damn.
Hi, my name is Egmont. I'm an expert in Krav Maga, and if this is your first time here, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell so you get notification about my new videos. So you joined Krav Maga or maybe martial arts or fitness classes or training to get healthy and fit. Most likely to get rid of fat, body weight and lose your belly. I'm sorry to say that, but I can promise you, you will lose zero weight and your belly will stay the same. Don't get me wrong, I'm on your side and I think it's not your fault. Actually, it's totally not your fault. I know you are trying hard. How do I know that? Because I've been running a Krav Maga club for the last 10 years and I can tell you how many students I've seen who are trying really hard to lose weight, and they're really getting good as Krav Maga fighters, and still the weight is there. After many years, sometimes 8-10 years, they are still exactly the same or worse. To be honest, it gets annoying from my perspective because I know what's wrong and they don't. So I decided to do these videos to make you aware of what's going on. Where are the lies, what's not right, why you're not losing weight. So Krav Maga, martial arts or fitness training will actually make you fat. And why is that? Mainly it's a problem of beliefs. Mainly it's the problem of what we've been taught. And I can tell you that I thought the same at some point, but we've been taught that training hard is the solution to your fitness, and I can tell you that's the biggest lie ever. Training itself is about 30%, maybe even less than that, out of your success in weight loss. So what's the other 70 or 80%? The 70 or 80% is fundamental mistakes in eating habits. The fundamental mistakes everyone is doing are crazy. Once you know about them, it is clear as day.
Who you are is dependent upon a lot of things, but one of them is how much energy you have, how you feel, whether you're crashing. If you change the way you eat, you change the energy you have, you change the way you feel, it'll change your behavior, it'll change your choices, it'll change your ambitions, it'll change your potential. I mean, there's so many things that will change. 99%
of people actually lack fundamental knowledge about food. What is the most annoying and interesting thing is that whenever you talk to someone who's actually obese or fat or has problems with weight, what happens, they say that, but I eat well. And they actually might do eat well according to what they think is eating well. And according to what the society tells you as this is eating well. In this series of videos, I'm going to cover a lot about food, and I'll shatter all the lies and stupid beliefs which are fed by the media and all the adverts on television and everyone who wants you to be actually fat and unhealthy. There will be so much more covered in this series, but make sure you subscribe and hit the bell, otherwise you won't see anything out of that. Today, let's just cover one of the topics and take the first step. And you'll need to take the step with me, and I'll tell you what to do at the end of this video. So let's just think about where do we get energy to move our body? There are two main sources of energy for us. It's either food or body fat. So number one is food. I'm going to talk about food a lot as we go in this series of videos. But first, understand what the second one is. Body fat is basically storage of energy. Body fat is basically like a storage for you to use whenever you need to. The interesting thing about it is you only get to the storage once there's nothing in your tank, nothing in the supplies of food. So if you're supplying food all the time, putting in your mouth, and that lands in your stomach, what happens, there is no way you will ever get to the storage. That means you will actually never lose your body fat, because the moment your body can choose between the body fat to eat energy out of the body fat or to eat the energy out of the food you're providing all the time, the food wins every time. It's a much easier energy source. Anytime your body has to choose between the two, between the body fat or the food supplied, it's going to choose the food supply every time. It's a much easier way for the body to access energy, which means it's just going to go for the easier option. And unfortunately, that doesn't allow you to burn your body fat ever. More than that, anytime you are providing food and there's any excess of energy, your body is going to store that as fat. On the other hand, if you stop eating for some time, your body will go through the food you supplied, and then it's going to get to the fat you've got on your body. So that means it starts burning your fat. In a second, we are going to get to the details, how to do it and what to do exactly. But first of all, think about one of the biggest lies we've been told, and see this. Look at the society, look at the results. One of the biggest lies you can see around is the idea of breakfast is the most important meal of the day. I've heard this lie so many times and I can't stress it enough for you not to believe it anymore. It's been really good for the food companies because imagine if people are eating all the time, they are selling all the time.
So if the available science doesn't actually support this idea, why do we still believe eating breakfast is a healthier way to live? Well, it has a lot to do with these guys. Before they got into cereal, Dr. John Harvey Kellogg and his brother, Will Keith Kellogg, ran a family business. It was there in 1898 that John Harvey came up with cornflakes as a way to curb indigestion. But he was also an extremely religious doctor who believed masturbation was a carnal sin. And he prescribed a bland diet, including cornflakes, as part of the cure. In 1906, John Harvey's brother, Will Keith, took cornflakes and mass-marketed them to the world. By 1917, Good Health, a magazine edited by John Harvey Kellogg, wrote, "In many ways, the breakfast is the most important meal of the day." Take a look at the small print on these studies. This one concludes breakfast skipping is not good for managing weight. It's funded by the Kellogg Company. And this one found breakfast skipping had other health costs, like high cholesterol. It's funded by another major breakfast maker, Quaker Oats.
So what you are buying is a huge income for them. And as you know already, the result is your body is never going to get to the fat storage. And more than that, excess of the energy is going to be stored as fat. What it's called is called intermittent fasting.
Watch a lot of stuff on the internet about intermittent fasting and time-restricted eating, and I just wish I knew that before. For so many years, I used to follow the rules. Oh, we need to eat at least 3 times a day. It's interesting because we're conditioned to think that I wanna gain muscle, I need to eat more to accelerate my metabolism.
Yeah.
But I never felt better in my life.
Not allowing yourself to eat all the time. And that word fasting sounds, big because some people fast for a week or 2 or things like that. I'm not talking about that. This is not what we need. So if you still believe in what your grandma was saying, that the breakfast is the most important meal of the day, I'm sorry to say, again, I can promise you will never ever lose any body fat. You'll never ever lose weight. And still remember, I'm on your side. I want you to be fit. I want you to be shredded. I want you to be muscly. So getting back to intermittent fasting, what is that exactly? What happens, ideal is 16 to 8 ratio. What that means is 16 hours of fasting and then 8 hours of eating. So in the window of 8 hours, ideally, you should be eating. In the 16, you should be not touching food. And that also goes for any juices, any fruits, anything like that. Just no eating. What you do only, you can drink water and that's all fine. What happens in that time, it's amazing because you go through your storage, you go through the food you've eaten in terms of energy supply, and then you start going through the storage of your fat, of your body fat. So sounds crazy to people who actually, whenever they wake up, the moment they wake up, they open their mouth and they put some food in. And that's unfortunately probably you. Intermittent fasting is actually way easier than you think. It sounds crazy in terms of 16-8, but if you take into account that first of all, there are 3 important things you have to know. Number 1 is the fact that you actually sleep for 8 hours or anywhere close to that. And that's half of the job done if you think about it. It's really, really easy. So if you wake up after 8 hours, what you would just have to do now is not eat for 8 hours, which might be pretty tricky, and I understand that. But if you take into account that you could actually stop eating 4 hours before going to bed and then not eat for 4 hours after waking up, that makes it so much easier. Then number 2 makes everything even easier. Look at this, you don't have to start with 16-8. You can start with any ratio which is reasonably comfortable for you, but again, progressively go up and up and up. And ideally, I would say 9 hours window for eating, 8 is fine. It's totally fine. You don't even have to get to 8. Maybe even 10 will be okay for you.
Eating within a certain time period that corresponds to the day. Mm-hmm. It has really profound effects on muscle mass without any other factors, without having to exercise or anything. That's something that's extremely interesting. But if you take that same mouse who's eating a healthy diet and you make it eat within a time-restricted window of at least 12 hours, actually the best was 9 to 10, they gain way more muscle mass. This is on a normal diet, just way more muscle mass. And if they ate within a 9-hour window, they had like really improved endurance. That's something I've noticed in myself. If I eat within a 9-hour window and I go for a run the next morning, my endurance is like very noticeably improved, like extremely noticeably improved. Anyways, it's really cool because you can just, like literally these mice were gaining more muscle mass just not by doing anything, but eating within this time restricted window.
But generally the main idea is you have to burn through the food you supplied first to get to the body fat. And the ratio you can start with is 12 to 12, which probably is already like that, or maybe kind of the opposite, because on average people eat 15 hours, 16 hours a day, and then they don't eat for 8. That's basically like intermittent eating, more than intermittent fasting. And then there should be no surprise that people are actually getting overweight and unhealthy.
If you do intermittent fasting correctly, you can spike growth hormone by 2,000%. Growth hormone is an anabolic hormone. That means it builds up things. It builds muscle tissue. It builds protein. Also, it protects proteins from breaking down. So you would think that if you're not eating, your body would be wasting away, but that's not so. Growth hormone is very, very protective against the loss of proteins. It's one of the main fat-burning hormones, and it is the main anti-aging hormone.
Number 3 is the fact that you will get used to it very, very fast. I have some students who actually started like that. Just the first day they said they understand the idea. They first of all have to educate themselves. So understand the education, understand the process behind it, understand what you're trying to achieve, and then it's easy. So you can jump into it with 16-8. Some people do straight away and it's not a problem. Especially with the food I'm going to talk about in the next few videos. That makes it so much easier. Your energy levels will be going straight up and will be constant without the tiring fluctuation of insulin going up and down every few hours. You have to eat again. This is crazy. So first of all, again, as I said, stop eating breakfast. That's the main thing. If you don't do that, I'm sorry, again, you will not lose any body weight. You will not get muscle or shredded, which in the end, it means you will be moving slower. You won't be the best self you can be in terms of your training or your fitness, your health also. There's so much more to this topic and I'll be covering that in the series of videos, but first challenge and first step for you is very, very simple. And if you don't do this first step, I'm sorry, we are not on the same path and you probably shouldn't watch my videos. But if you believe in yourself, there's one simple thing I want you to do. And I do believe in yourself, so stay with me and do the simple, very easy test. What I want you to do is tomorrow morning, wake up and don't eat anything for either an hour, 2, 3, 4 hours. Up to you how long your fast will be lasting. And this is totally your challenge and totally up to you. Very easy, but first step, big step in your life, I can promise you that. What I want you to do after you do that, I want you to comment under this video how many hours you actually managed to fast. And it's not a challenge in a way that I want you to not eat tomorrow. I really want you to just skip the breakfast, go for 1, 2, 3, 4 hours. That will be fine. Maybe 5 even. It will be awesome. I'll be very proud of you, and please comment under this video and I'll give you more information on that as we go. But this is your first step, and this will change your life. Step by step, you'll be going to totally different directions than you would otherwise if you keep doing what you're doing. Thanks for watching this video, and I hope you found some important and useful information. I really believe in your change, and make sure you subscribe and hit the bell so you get the rest of the information. There will be much more of it. See you in the next time, and make sure you comment under tomorrow morning or after your fast. Take care.